Hey there, fictional friends, and welcome to another episode of Fully Booked. I'm Megan.
And I'm Arthur.
And we have a new recording setup, and I really hope it works.
Hopefully,
I hope
it's going to
so.
be fine.
Yeah, I hope so. Let's go. We've got new equipment. We've tested this like 4 times now, and I'm hoping that, it just means that like the sound is okay and everything works properly and it actually doesn't like cut off or do anything weird. So fingers crossed.
Should be more crisp and nice.
Yeah. Okay, so here we are, last Friday of the month of May, where we've kind of been having a free-for-all, basically.
Yeah.
We, played some games, made some recommendations, revisited some stuff, checked out a brand new release on Netflix, which, if you guys go back, we dropped a little bonus episode at the beginning of the week about Fear Street Prom Queen, so you can go and check out kind of our thoughts about that, about, the latest entry into the series.
And there's book recommendations if you did like
Fear
Street on fullybooked.ca. You'll check out YA thrillers recommendations if you liked and want more of Fear Street.
Fear Street stuff, yeah. But it's not specifically R.L. Stein or Fear Street. I compiled a bit of a list of more modern picks a bit within that sphere. So they've got, a fair amount going on in them, I would say. They touch on a lot of different stuff. But there's one of them that's essentially like an exploration, a racial sort of exploration of Carrie, basically, which I do have, and I haven't had a chance to read yet, and it's really cool.
Cool.
So, yeah. Anyway, so getting into the last week of things, we were kind of taking a look at some stuff that was very timely. We've done all the Fear Street stuff, but also within the past week from the time that we're recording, anyway, HBO finally dropped the first trailer for It, Welcome to Derry, which, again, I still took a quick look, still doesn't have an official release date other than fall 2025.
Yeah, that's exactly where it says everywhere. I did some research. There is no anything.
No, that's it. I wanted to take a look since they dropped the trailer. I was like, are we getting an actual release date? No,
we just know it's somewhere fall, which, again, makes sense.
Of course. Yeah.
And it's supposed to be 9 episodes as far as I know.
Yes, that was what I had seen as well. So that's it. Produced by HBO. Also utilizing the creative team behind the It Chapter 1 and 2 films, Andy and Barbara Muschietti, who are a brother and sister team.
Muschietti.
Yeah. I think they're Brazilian.
Oh, wow, okay.
I think. Or Portuguese.
Well, I mean, they're doing a great job because those movies did really well.
They did incredibly well. And I think so. I believe it was back in 2023 that there was a series order for Welcome to Derry. So, I mean, it's normal. It takes a couple of years for them to kind of get everything running. So, yeah, we're finally getting it. I feel like this has been announced for ages. It's taken forever to get to this point.
Yeah,
so,
seriously.
Looking forward to seeing kind of what that's about. But we kind of figured we would chat through, the trailer, maybe chat through a little bit of background to do with some of the It stuff. Obviously, the films from about 6-7 years ago, the novel, and kind of maybe what our expectations are going to look like, and kind of maybe what we can sort of expect from this universe and an expansion of this universe going in.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. I mean, this could be basically a one-off because they want to do a prequel.
Yeah.
Explore more of that. Maybe they'll kick off and do crazy stuff with it. I don't know. I don't know if they can expand that far with it because, the story is limited in its sense.
Agreed.
Because
we'll see. The whole point, right, of course, of the original, the It novel, obviously, and the miniseries from 1990 and the films from 2017 and 2019 are a complete story in the sense that they follow the final, quote unquote, battle with Pennywise and that character. So, and that's we kind of know what the conclusion is. So it's going to be interesting to, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The best I guess they could do is do it through different eras of time, but then
correct, yeah. So
it's
if they
kind of the same thing,
kind of, yeah.
Which was with the thing with the trailer, right? So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Let's talk.
Okay, we saw the trailer. Looked really cool. It's a couple of minutes. It has that really creepy atmosphere, the vibe.
It's got the Derry vibe, right? Because the whole thing with the Derry universe itself, in most any Stephen King, anything that's either set in it or that references it, is that Derry itself is also a product of the darkness and negativity that permeates the entire town. Now, I think that there are theories to a degree that the entity of Pennywise itself is what causes that or has caused that over the centuries, however long it has existed. So I guess that's kind of I guess that's kind of expected to an extent. But there's a big, and Stephen King does this in a lot of his stuff, there's a big exploration oftentimes in his novels and also in the adaptations of them. And it is a really good example of how the real kind of villains in a lot of his stories that focus on younger characters are the adults.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
And I'm sure that we're going to see more of that in Welcome to Derry.
Most likely, yeah. I mean, they do get impacted by it. The kids suffer because of it.
Correct.
Yeah, it kind of is. Usually, so I read his memoir, and the way that he found is the best way to write horror stories is to set or have normal characters, normal setting, but you add a horror element or a supernatural element to it. And that makes it much better, much more relatable as opposed to doing like, this is a superhero and he has to deal with things that, superheroes deal with. And then you're like, okay, I mean, interesting to read, hard to relate to. Here it's kids, it's a small town, it's 1960s, whatever it is. Even if you didn't live in that era, same things still happen, right? So that's it. So
I think he's very good at putting ordinary people into extraordinary situations.
That's exactly
which is kind of,
well, so
what works the best
that is
for
his
him.
style. That is his style of writing. And that's what works really well as well. So trailer looks interesting. I mean, those smiling adults that are all sweating and everything.
Yeah, like they're
always
creepy and stuff.
The thing that I really want to kind of see what they do with it is that I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, is this just a repeat in a different time?
Yeah.
Because it seems like exactly the same. Even some scenes were the same, and I know there are callbacks. And I know it's a prequel, so technically, like, if you're watching this in sequence, you would not know that this happened.
Yeah.
But, there's like, there's voices in the pipes, and then they're doing the shot from the sink.
Yeah.
Looking upwards. It's been done.
We've seen it
there's
recently.
The kids. Exactly. There's the kids that form the initial before Losers Club thing.
Yeah, whatever their version of that is.
Exactly.
I hope they don't have, like, a nickname for it, because that's going to be really fucking stupid.
I don't know. I know. Yeah, we'll see. So, I mean, like, again, that is being formed, and it's going to happen somehow. They're going to try to... I don't know. It seems like a repeat. I also understand that if you're thinking of it from the perspective of the universe itself, like if people are living in Derry, it's a cycle of 27 years, right?
Agreed, yeah.
So it just keeps happening, and there's going to be a new set of kids, and they're going to try to defeat the evil or keep it at bay,
or
whatever.
Keep it at bay, which is, I guess, what they managed to do, which is the same thing, in watching, like, the film, for instance, from the late 2010s, right?
Yeah.
That It Chapter 1 follows is that they don't destroy Pennywise at that point. However, they keep him at bay.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like, it's going to repeat and say similar things would happen. So I get it.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, though, that I'm a little bit curious about with regards to the trailer is that there does seem to be some sort of slightly centralized storyline around an entire family that has moved to Derry.
Okay, yeah.
And the mother specifically seems to start questioning the children who are going missing and stuff. And so that's an interesting idea of an introduction of adult characters into the universe. Not that they'll be the main focus necessarily, but I kind of wonder, and especially 9 episodes is quite a lot, I kind of wonder if they're going to maybe explore something new in that capacity by maybe introducing, like, I will say, like, young family, like those parents look like they're barely 30 kind of thing. But, the idea of maybe outsiders moving into the town, and maybe because they have a different perspective, they actually pay more attention.
I think that
to
is
things.
the thing. I think that is the thing is because all the adults are in town and they're already influenced by it because they've been living there for a long time.
Yeah.
And now you kind of have to get that new perspective of someone kind of starting to question things as opposed to being people like, no, well, kids will be kids. They'll just go around and disappear, whatever.
Yeah, and we ignore it because it's easier to do that than to admit,
that something's wrong. We'll see. One thing that I wanted to mention, which is interesting, so the whole 27 years thing, we looked into it a little bit. So apparently, it's not a random number.
No.
So in numerology, 27 is technically often associated with cycles of completion and rebirth, which, fits thematically with the whole thing, and he comes back and returns, and then you keep him at bay, et cetera, whatever. Also, 27 is 3 squared, 3 cubed.
3 cubed,
sorry.
yes.
And King uses often the number 3 as a symbolic number throughout his works, right? So there's like the trios, trials in threes, rules of third structures a lot. Like that shows up a lot, especially in the Dark Tower. So there's the whole catet thing. which is 3 people plus obviously Roland, but he has to get 3 people. And Pennywise is technically like an entity that relates to Dark Tower because a lot of everything relates to the Dark Tower universe.
Yeah, there's 7 or 8 novels in the series, so eventually, I guess I would assume he kind of mentioned and or showcased multiple
kinda. So like, it's heavily implied that it is the creature in the Todash darkness, which is the space between worlds in the Dark Tower universe.
Okay. Yeah, you have to walk me through this because
I know. Well, I mean, like, look, I'm not gonna get too heavily into it, but he also apparently serves the antagonist, which is the Crimson King.
Okay.
So he's like one of his lackeys that does stuff for him. Of course, trying to create chaos and stuff like that. So he's repeated there.
Is the Crimson King like Sauron in this universe?
Kind of. I mean, he wants to bring down the universe.
Yeah,
he just wants to, destroy the beam and everything like that. So, he's the bad guy. He's the ultimate bad guy.
Oh, and I will say, also interestingly in that, and that's also why probably it's become such a famous thing. If we take ourselves out of the Stephen King verse of it all, famously pop culture wise, 27. There's the whole 27 Club theory of famous musicians, actors, artists who have passed away around the age of 27, right? Jimi Hendrix, Amy Winehouse, Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, whatever. Anyway, there are a lot of them. Kurt Cobain, a lot of them are. Anyway, so that's interesting because you just mentioned that, and I literally just thought of it right now. I was like, oh yeah, well, there's also the 27 Club.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Yeah. And I mean, look, speaking of real world examples, interestingly, I feel like they probably have done it on purpose somehow.
For what?
But the 1990 miniseries came out 27 years before the It movie of 2017.
That's wild, by the way.
Right? Isn't that insane?
So weird.
Yeah. That's so crazy. And then, technically speaking, I guess if you want to go even further than that, first movie came out 2017, next one 2019, 3 years. 27 is 3 cubed.
Oh, correct. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
Pretty crazy stuff, eh?
Yeah.
Anyways.
And I mean, obviously, since we're still setting things in the same timeline, essentially, Welcome to Derry is set 27 years before the events of It Chapter 1, which is set in 1989.
Right, of course.
Right?
Yeah. So, it follows
we've popped back. So, I mean, I think I understand what you're saying, too. Like, they could, potentially, if they wanted to keep going and keep expanding on it, each additional season, I guess, could be set in a different time period. Like, you could go back to ye olden days in Derry, Maine, and, have some version of it, who maybe perhaps would look... Well, he could look similar, I guess, but also a little bit different because we did see, I forget if it's in It Chapter 1 or 2, but we do see different versions of Pennywise once or twice.
Yes.
There are a couple of scenes
when it's
that looks
time when he's in the circus and
correct.
everything.
Yeah, that looks just a man with more of a less monstrous a bit than the Pennywise makeup that we see throughout most of the films. It looks more like a man who is applying makeup by hand, and they gave him additional prosthetics, like his forehead's really big and stuff. So I wonder if to a degree even the look would change, which is an interesting thought, obviously, because also for people who aren't aware in the lore, which is so deep, okay, just keep in mind that that it is almost 1,200 pages long. There's a lot to it. There's the turtle stuff, the turtle god.
Well, yeah, which comes from the Dark Tower.
Which comes from the Dark Tower thing too, and is also repeated in It. Which I guess it maybe started in It and then is repeated in the Dark Tower at some point. I don't know. There's the idea of it having taken on multiple forms throughout the years, including a person named Robert Grayson. Those are things that are attached as well to that story. There's a character, I think it's Robert Gray or Robert Grayson, if I'm not mistaken. There are references to it.
Okay.
It's been a very long time since I've read this book. There are references to it that kind of humanize it a little bit more, and I wonder if maybe that would be something that you'd see back in ye olden times. Maybe Robert Grayson is, I don't know, something that Pennywise or whatever it impersonates at some point. I don't know. Personally, I'm not deep enough into the lore to really get into all of it. So I guess maybe from that perspective, maybe that's why I was a little bit okay when we watched the trailer, is because if anything, I kind of maybe would have liked to go back to ye olden times. Maybe it's just me. I like period horror. I find that a lot of that older stuff is terrifying most of the time. And it's very atmospheric a lot, very often. If you watch The Witch or a lot of the ones that have those period settings.
Yeah, and so I think it would be interesting if they do more something related to the town of Derry itself as opposed to keep going to Pennywise. Because King has said that Derry is the nexus for evil in his story. So it's not just Pennywise. It is the location itself. So
maybe
there's something happening there.
Yeah.
It attracts or
maybe
it is...
that's how it attracted it to show up in the first
exactly.
place.
So like it either attracts or something exists under it, whatever it is, or over it. So like that would be something interesting to explore as opposed to always Pennywise.
Or is it a manifestation of the horrible negativity that town kind of is? Like, if it is a nexus for evil, for instance, is this creature a personification of that to a degree? I don't know.
Possible. I mean, like that could be like an interpretation of things, but yeah, I mean, look, it very much could be. The thing is that if you remember in the books and in the movie as well, is that the town collectively like forgets that this happens every 27 years.
Yeah.
So what the hell is that all about? You know, they should also probably explore a little bit. There's like different things they could do with it. I guess depends how this one does. Right?
Yeah, I know I'm sure it'll vary based on like reactions and things like that. I guess it's just, while I'm sure, yes, we enjoyed the films that were made, and I will say, like, visually, obviously, like, Andy Muschietti's strengths are in a lot of the visual work and getting really great performances out of young actors, which is not always something that's easy to do, but he knows how to like find kids who are very good, because I do find, and like, I'm sure I'm not alone in this, there are a lot of movies that you watch where like you're watching the kid actors and you're like, and it's totally normal, it's expected, because it's pretend, right? So as a younger person, it's really difficult to kind of show like a very genuine kind of emotion and get some sort of terrified performance when you know that something's not real or it's not really happening.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because a lot of those intense performances usually draw from things that you've experienced as a person. And, when you're 12, 13, whatever it is, didn't really experience that much trauma or heartbreak or whatever it is. So it's kind of hard to draw, you know?
It's hard to go in and find. It's just, this is I find in more modern times anyway, is one of those film franchises or franchises in general that has really like found a way to draw out those types of performances from younger actors, which is really cool. I mean, like, they did it in those, and now a lot of those kids have like pretty decent careers as well.
I mean,
it's just one of those things, like, not many filmmakers can do that. I can only, off the top of my head, very recently think of like, that's it, because of especially how many kids there are in it. I can only think of it and like Stranger Things,
Yeah, that's fair.
We're the ones where we found some that where everybody was like, wow, okay, that's very impressive.
That's it.
If not, it's sort of an individual child in a lot of things who happens to give, like, we watched Adolescence recently and stuff like that, like, who happens
that was like
to
just
give.
one then.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, look, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be able to explore other stuff later on, or maybe even in this one. So the whole thing with Pennywise, technically speaking, like, this is at the overarching level is a cosmic horror thing.
True.
The whole thing with Deadlights, because like the Pennywise is an impersonation in human quote unquote form of the bigger evil, and the bigger evil is like the whole Deadlights thing, in the second movie where the adult.
Oh, who are we thinking of? Richie.
Yes, when he looks into the Deadlights and he goes like slack and everything. First of all, great performance there.
Bill Hader's
so good.
So good in that one. God, he's so good.
But yeah,
also,
so maybe
watch Barry if you haven't watched
it.
It's
amazing.
Great.
So maybe they can expand on that and kind of have some kind of a microverse starting to
that
go.
Would be,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know it's far. It's like we're stretching it now.
Yeah,
but
I know. But that's a cool idea, because it's true that there are so many theories about exactly what it is, because yes, it's not a clown, guys.
Yeah, like technically speaking, at a technical level, it is a shape-shifting alien entity that feeds on fear. That's what it is.
Is it actually considered like an alien entity, or is it considered some sort of like primordial like entity that has existed for
so this is kind of like when we're getting into, I guess, speculations and fan theories and stuff, is that one of them is the origins of it.
Yeah.
Like, some people are saying that it crash landed on Earth Some saying that it is a primordial evil with the whole,
that's always existed, sort of.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it could also be technically both at the same time if something crash landed on Earth millions and millions and millions ago.
4,000 or 5,000 years ago or something.
More than that, right? And then because people existed before 1,000 years ago, and then it became this kind of like primordial entity, god level type of thing, and that's why there's the whole ritual of Chud that they try to exorcise him or whatever it is because they think
tried to get rid of it
exactly because they think it's a malevolent god and everything like so like technically it could be both.
I suppose that's possible.
Yeah, that's it. So
I don't know. I guess like I have an automatic tendency because we're in like a horror space mostly. I have an automatic tendency to think primordial evil. However, just in being aware of like how many sort of mixture of genres Stephen King has written about over the years, and that he has fully delved into sci-fi as well with things like Under the Dome and all that stuff as well. And even like I know Dark Tower touches on some of that a little bit as well to a degree.
A little bit. I mean, there's a whole post-apocalyptic thing in there, so I guess close enough.
Kind of, I don't know. Anyway, like a little bit of all of that anyway. So because of that, I'm like, well, could be alien in some capacity, could have come from another place.
That's it. Here. Or I mean, like not necessarily, it doesn't have to be alien the way that we think of it. It's like from outer space and little green man. But it could be, like I was saying previously, that if it is a creature that exists in Between Worlds in the Dark Tower series, if it can navigate through universes, it could have came from a different universe, right?
Yeah. No, it's
so
true.
So that would make much more sense in terms of King's writings.
True. And I mean, like, I guess it's true, like, we get kind of stuck on certain things, but in the past few years, we've even seen kind of mixtures of genres like that, or exploring the idea of science fiction without fully touching on the, I am an alien from outer space aspect. Like, Jordan Peele's Nope touches on that, the idea of an animal to a degree that has existed for ages.
It's technically an alien, no?
No, that's not.
It was an alien.
No, the entire theory that comes out is that it's actually been here much longer than we have, and it's basically an animal that is looking to feed.
Okay, I mean, there you go. There you go, that works.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, look, the sci-fi genre lately has been being bent every possible way because it's being infused with other things and other genres and other concepts and everything.
Well, now we're on we're on quite like the AI bandwagon right now, which makes sense. It's timely, obviously. But I'm kind of wondering to an extent like what else we're going to see in the near future, just in terms of subverting expectations of this is a story about aliens. What does that mean, and what the publishing world will be looking at that way too, because people have so many interesting theories and ideas about things. As soon as they put them to paper, it's just it's a whole new world.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So like it changes. It has to change. We'll see, right? So this we'll see where this goes. I'm personally excited about it. I do want to check it out. The trailer, the TV show. I really want to give it a chance because right now I'm kind of like on the fence about it because it almost seems like it's the same thing. Unless the visuals and the performance are stellar, there I don't care. I'll watch it again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But we'll see. I mean, look, the first time we saw the new movies, we went to the.
We went to a drive-in when chapter 2 came out, and we watched a double feature.
It was a double feature. It was literally like 6 hours of movies.
Oh,
it was so intense.
It was so long.
It was great because you're really into the story and everything.
It was like a fun atmosphere to do that in, for sure. And I know, and I agree with a lot of the commentary around some of the weaknesses that chapter 2 had versus chapter 1, for instance. Like, I get it, but I think could kind of, again, I think like to your point about Welcome to Derry, maybe, it's so easy to forgive so much of that because the performances were so good from the adult cast in the film and everything. And like, again, the visuals are all good. No, the scares don't hit the same way. They never do in like an adult story versus like with kids, it feels more dangerous. Yeah. It's just like a different vibe. So all of those kinds of things. But yeah, that's it. Like the performances were so good that you kind of just, you're like, it's okay. It's fine. I don't mind. So I wonder if maybe to an extent, maybe we'll be disappointed with certain story aspects in this, maybe, or maybe it'll be incredible, and maybe we'll just be really into the performances and everything. I'm really curious to see the cast because I really haven't found any information online to indicate like who's who, except obviously the one thing that we haven't talked about, of course, obviously people are going to be pumped for is Bill Skarsgård returning as Pennywise, which is definitely going to be the biggest draw for a lot of people.
So it's the biggest draw, I agree, but I've read that apparently he will be pretty minimal in the TV show.
I think so,
because
right?
they want it to be kind of like in the background, so he's like this lurking evil as opposed to being really present.
Yes, which he was like in the films, obviously.
Exactly,
he's a huge part of them.
Yeah, so I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah,
we just know that he is there. As far as I know, he is cast, right?
Yeah.
That's
No,
it.
he definitely
so he is definitely there. He will definitely make an appearance.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much as you think.
Okay. But which is, also okay because, again, you're saying, right, you're like, hey, maybe we don't need to focus on just Pennywise all the time.
Of
so
course.
maybe if that's the case, this will give the show an opportunity to expand the idea of Derry as a place and the evil that maybe already lurked in it, even without the help of an entity like Pennywise as well.
We'll see. We'll see whenever it drops. So.
Haha. I don't know. Whenever we actually get a release date, we'll see. Anyway, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm holding out. That's it. To see. I'm withholding judgment just to see how it actually is, I think. I'd be curious, though, to know what people's opinions about this are right now. Like, are you excited for it for any specific reason? Like, maybe for some of the ones that we are, to do with either, like, seeing a brand new cast, who will probably be really good, the idea of delving into more within Derry, or are you maybe kind of like tired of it? Has it maybe been too long, like since the films came out and you're like, man, I'm over this now and I don't really care that much? I don't know. I'm curious to know what people will think. So anyway, in the meantime, obviously, you can check out everything that we have going on over on the website at fullybooked.ca. Don't forget to follow us on socials and everything, and feel free to comment on all of that too. Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky. I don't remember if we have anything else. Search for Fully Booked CA and you'll find us there. But until next week, guys, and a brand new theme for the month of June, keep on reading.
Ciao, guys.